All right, let's dive into this one, shall we? Imagine it's 1904, Daytona Beach, Florida. The sun's beating down, and you've got $1.50 in your pocket.
Not a whole lot to work with.
What would you do?
Well, I know what I wouldn't be doing, starting a school.
Well, if you were Mary McLeod Bethune, that's
Wow.
exactly what you would do.
That's pretty incredible.
It really is.
It really is.
She's just an absolutely incredible story of resilience and determination.
Absolutely.
Mary McLeod Bethune, born the 15th of 17 children to former slaves,
Wow.
rose to become a towering figure in American history. And she didn't stop at just starting a school. She built a whole legacy. From advising presidents to advocating for black soldiers during World War II, her impact is still felt today.
It's amazing how much she accomplished in one lifetime.
So we're going to take a deep dive into the remarkable life of this extraordinary woman.
Buckle up,
Buckle up.
because we're going to go on a journey.
As we go through this, think about what aspects of her story resonate most with you.
Yeah. What can we learn from her struggles and triumphs? And how can her example inspire us to make a difference in our own time?
All right, let's unpack this remarkable life.
Let's do it.
Bethune was born in 1875 in South Carolina to parents who had endured the unimaginable hardship of slavery. Think about that, coming into this world with that weight of history on your shoulders.
It's hard to even fathom.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's essential to understand that context
It really is.
because it shaped Bethune's worldview
Right.
and fueled her unwavering commitment to uplifting Black communities.
Yeah, and she saw, she witnessed firsthand the systematic denial of opportunities
Right.
and the urgent need for education and empowerment.
Absolutely.
And, that brings us to a pivotal moment in her childhood.
Oh.
So imagine this, young Mary, eager to learn, encounters a white child
Okay.
who tells her point blank, you can't read. And that, sadly, wasn't uncommon during that era.
Unfortunately not.
Oh,
I mean,
well.
it really speaks volumes about the pervasive racism that
So that's
permeated society. But for Bethune, that experience lit a fire.
Yeah.
It solidified her belief that education was the key to breaking free from the shackles of oppression.
It was the great equalizer in a lot of ways, right?
It really was.
And so she was determined to prove that little girl wrong, and she walked miles to attend school,
Wow.
excelling first at Scotia Seminary in North Carolina and then later at the Moody Bible Institute in Chicago. She was hungry for knowledge
Yeah.
and committed to sharpening her skills.
It's remarkable, her dedication.
It is.
But what's equally striking is that even with her education and passion, she was denied the opportunity to become a missionary in Africa simply because of her race.
Yeah.
It's a stark reminder of the limitations imposed by racial prejudice, even within the church at that time.
Even within spaces that you would think would be more open-minded.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, it would have been easy to become discouraged at that point.
totally.
But Bethune refused to give up on her dreams.
He didn't.
She realized if the doors weren't open, she'd have to create her own opportunities.
And that's exactly what she did
She did.
in Daytona Beach, Florida.
And think about the audacity of it all. With just $1.50 and an unwavering belief in her mission,
$1.50.
$1.50.
She founded the Daytona Beach Literary and Industrial School for training Negro girls in 1904. It was a bold move, a statement that black girls deserved quality education just as much as anyone else.
Absolutely.
She started with just 5 students.
Wow.
It wasn't easy.
No, I can imagine the challenges she faced, securing resources, overcoming skepticism,
Right.
battling that constant threat of discrimination.
Yeah, but Bethune was a force to be reckoned with.
She was it.
She really was. She understood that education wasn't just about academics.
Right.
It was about empowering an entire community.
Exactly.
The school, which eventually evolved into the Bethune-Cookman College we know today,
Wow.
became a beacon of hope, a testament to her unwavering determination. It wasn't just about education. She saw the needs of her community and addressed them head-on. In 1911, recognizing the lack of health care for black patients in segregated Daytona Beach, she established a hospital.
Oh.
She was really something else. It's a powerful example of her holistic approach to social change.
It really is.
She recognized that true progress required addressing the multifaceted challenges facing black communities: education, healthcare, economic opportunity. They were all intertwined.
Yeah, she was ahead of her time in a lot of ways.
She really was.
So forward-thinking.
And she was a master at building bridges and creating partnerships. In 1912, she formed a close bond with Frances Reynolds Kaiser, an
Okay.
experienced educator who shared her vision.
Wonderful.
Their collaboration is a testament to the power of women supporting and amplifying each other's work, especially in a time when their voices were often marginalized.
Yeah.
Together, they built an institution that defied the limitations placed upon them by society.
It's an inspiring story.
It is. And Bethune's activism extended beyond the school walls.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She understood that true change required engaging in the political arena. She spearheaded a voter registration campaign for black women,
Wow.
facing down threats from the Ku Klux Klan, who saw her work as the direct challenge to their racist ideology.
It's hard to imagine the courage that must have taken to put herself on the line like that.
Yeah, to fight for that fundamental right to vote.
It really is, yeah.
It's a reminder that progress often requires taking risks and confronting those who seek to maintain the status quo.
Absolutely.
Her leadership extended to the national stage as well.
Okay.
She became the first woman president of the National Association of Teachers of Colored Schools in 1924.
Wow.
That organization was instrumental in advocating for better funding and resources for black schools across the country.
That's amazing.
Her leadership in that role highlights her ability to connect local activism with broader national movements for change.
She had such a broad vision.
She did. And in 1924, she was elected president of the National Association of Colored Women's Clubs, further solidifying her role as a national leader.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Yeah, she was definitely a leader.
Yeah.
That organization had been around for decades, focusing on issues like education, healthcare, and community development. Bethune's leadership brought a renewed focus on political activism and social justice advocacy.
Okay.
She understood that empowering women was essential to achieving true equality for black communities.
Right.
So by the time the Roosevelt era rolled around, Bethune was already a nationally recognized figure, someone who had dedicated her life to breaking down barriers and creating opportunities for black Americans.
And her influence was about to reach new heights
It was.
as she stepped onto the national stage and into the halls of power,
Yeah.
ready to advocate for her community on an unprecedented scale.
She was, yeah. She was ready.
Wow, what a story.
I know. Incredible, incredible woman.
What a life.
Yeah, and we're just getting started.
I know, I can't wait to hear more. The 1930s, the era of the Great Depression and the New Deal, marked a turning point in American history.
Yeah.
And it was during this time that Bethune's influence reached the highest levels of government.
Really? How so?
Well, she formed a close relationship with Eleanor Roosevelt, a woman who, like Bethune, was deeply committed to social justice.
It was a remarkable alliance. Imagine these two powerful women coming from such different backgrounds, united by their shared passion for making a difference. What was the dynamic like between them?
Well, that friendship was based on mutual respect and admiration. They recognized each other's strengths and used their combined influence to advocate for those who were often overlooked and marginalized. Eleanor Roosevelt, as the First Lady, had access to President Franklin D. Roosevelt and a platform to amplify Bethune's concerns.
So how did Bethune leverage that connection? Did she shy away from challenging the president when she felt it was necessary?
Absolutely not. She wasn't afraid to speak truth to power. She used her position as Director of Negro Affairs at the National Youth Administration, a New Deal program aimed at providing jobs and training to ensure that black youth were included and given equal opportunities.
That's fascinating. The National Youth Administration was a massive undertaking, providing work relief to millions of young people during the Depression. But did it truly benefit black Americans equally?
That's where Bethune's advocacy was crucial. She fought against discriminatory practices that often excluded black youth from the program's benefits. She wasn't content with just symbolic gestures. She wanted real, tangible change, and her efforts made a significant difference in the lives of countless young black Americans.
Wow, it's incredible to think about her navigating the complexities of government bureaucracy while still maintaining that unwavering commitment to her community. But her influence extended beyond her official role, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Bethune was instrumental in the formation of the Black Cabinet, an informal group of black advisors who consulted with President Roosevelt on issues impacting black Americans.
The Black Cabinet. That sounds like something straight out of a history book. What kind of influence did this group actually have on policy?
It was unprecedented. For the first time, black voices were being heard at the highest levels of government. They provided valuable insights on issues like education, employment discrimination, and access to health care. While they didn't always agree with the president, Their perspectives helped shape New Deal policies and pave the way for future civil rights advancements.
It must have been a challenging time navigating the political landscape and pushing for change within a system that was often resistant to their ideas.
It was a delicate balancing act. They had to be strategic in their approach, building alliances and leveraging their influence without alienating those in power. And they faced constant pushback from those who opposed any efforts to advance racial equality.
And then came World War II, a pivotal moment in history that reshaped the global landscape. How did Bethune respond to the challenges and opportunities presented by the war effort?
She saw it as a chance to further the fight for racial equality. She recognized the hypocrisy of fighting for democracy abroad while denying basic rights to Black Americans at home. She championed for Black participation in the armed forces, arguing that their service would demonstrate their patriotism and their capabilities.
But the military was still segregated at that time. Was her call for inclusion met with resistance?
It was a constant battle. She had to overcome entrenched prejudices and bureaucratic hurdles. But she was relentless in her advocacy. She pushed for the creation of units for Black women in the Women's Army Corps, like the 688th Central Postal Directory Battalion, which played a vital role in sorting and delivering mail to soldiers overseas.
Wow, it's incredible to think of those women serving their country with distinction despite facing discrimination both within the military and back home.
And Bethune's efforts extended beyond just advocating for women. She also pushed for Black pilots to be trained through the civilian pilot training program. Her advocacy helped pave the way for the formation of the legendary Tuskegee Airmen, the first Black fighter pilots in the U.S. Army Air Corps.
They became a symbol of Black excellence and a powerful testament to Bethune's vision of a more inclusive military brain. But her work wasn't limited to the domestic front. She also had a global perspective, didn't she?
Yes, she did. Bethune was appointed as a delegate to the founding conference of the United Nations in 1945.
The United Nations, a global body tasked with promoting peace and cooperation after the devastation of World War II. What role did Bethune play in that historic gathering?
She was a vocal advocate for human rights and racial equality on the international stage. She saw the UN as a platform to elevate the concerns of marginalized communities worldwide. She pushed for equal rights to be enshrined in the UN Charter, laying the groundwork for future international human rights conventions.
Wow, it's remarkable to think about her impact, spanning from local communities to the national stage and then onto the global arena. But even with her global focus, she never lost sight of the needs of her own community.
Absolutely. In fact, during this time, she was also involved in a project that might seem small in comparison to her international work, but it was incredibly significant for Black families in Daytona Beach.
Really? What was that?
Well, she, along with other investors, purchased a stretch of beach in Daytona Beach specifically for Black people.
Wow, that was a time when segregation was still the law of the land. Black Americans were often barred from public beaches or relegated to inferior sections. What was the significance of this beach for the Black community?
It was a powerful act of defiance against segregation. It provided a space for Black families to enjoy leisure and recreation without fear of harassment or discrimination. It was a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in a society riddled with injustice, there were those who were fighting to create spaces of joy and freedom.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
Yeah.
But even with her tireless work for social justice and equality, Bethune's life wasn't without controversy. In 1949, she made comments about Paul Robeson, a prominent Black singer and activist, that drew criticism. Can you tell us more about that?
Sure. Paul Robeson was a vocal critic of American racism and imperialism. He had expressed admiration for the Soviet Union, which, during the height of the Cold War, was seen as treasonous by many Americans. Bethune, in an effort to protect her own work and access to those in power, distanced herself from Robeson's stance, which sparked debate within the Black community.
It was a complex situation. The Cold War was a time of intense paranoia and political repression. Many Black activists faced accusations of communist sympathies, which could damage their reputations and undermine their work.
Exactly. And it's important to remember the context of the time. Bethune's decision was likely influenced by a desire to safeguard the progress she had made and to protect the institutions she had built. But it also highlights the difficult choices that Black leaders often faced, forced to navigate a political landscape that could be both hostile and unforgiving.
It's a reminder that even those we admire can make choices that are difficult to reconcile with our own values. But understanding the historical context and the pressures they faced can help us grapple with the complexities of their decisions.
Absolutely. It's important to avoid simplistic judgments and instead engage with the nuances of their lives and the choices they made within the constraints of their time.
So as Bethune moved into her later years, she continued to work tirelessly, leaving behind a legacy that extends far beyond any single achievement. She received numerous honorary degrees and accolades, but her true legacy lies in the lives she touched and the institutions she built.
She never stopped fighting for a world where all people, regardless of race or background, could live with dignity and opportunity.
I mean, her list of accomplishments is astounding.
Yeah, they really are.
Inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame,
Wow.
her Washington, D.C. townhouse designated a national park site.
That's incredible.
Even her image gracing a U.S. postage stamp.
And her recognition continues to grow. In 2022, a statue of Mary McLeod Bethune replaced a Confederate general statue in the National Statuary Hall in Washington, D.C. It's a powerful symbol of how our understanding of history evolves and how we choose to honor those who truly represent our values.
It's a fitting tribute to a woman who dedicated her life to challenging the status quo and fighting for a more just and equitable society. But beyond the statues and accolades, what do you think is the most enduring aspect of Bethune's legacy?
Well, I think it's the legacy she intentionally crafted, her last will and testament. Now, it's not a legal document,
Right.
but rather a profound statement of her beliefs and values, a roadmap for future generations.
That's intriguing. What did she bequeath to the world in this last will and testament?
Well, she left behind a legacy of love, hope, a thirst for education, a respect for the power of collective action, and an unwavering commitment to racial dignity and harmony. It's a
Well,
call to action for all of us to continue the work she began.
it's a powerful reminder that each of us has a role to play in building a better future. But Bethune didn't just inspire with words. She built institutions that continue to empower communities today. Her school, which evolved into Bethune-Cookman University, is a testament to her enduring vision.
Right, and her home, the Refuge, which she entrusted to the Mary McLeod Bethune Foundation, serves as a center for preserving her legacy and inspiring future generations of leaders.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into the extraordinary life of Mary McLeod Bethune, what stands out to you most about her story?
For me, it's her unwavering belief in the power of education to transform lives and uplift communities. She understood that education wasn't just about acquiring knowledge. It was about empowering individuals to reach their full potential and to create a more just and equitable world.
It's a message that resonates deeply, especially in a time when access to quality education is still a challenge for many. Bethune's life reminds us that education is a fundamental right, not a privilege, and that we must continue to fight for equal opportunities for all.
Absolutely. And it's not just about access, it's about the quality of education and ensuring that it's relevant and empowering. Bethune believed in a holistic approach to education, one that nurtured the mind, body, and spirit.
She was a visionary leader, a tireless advocate, and a true inspiration. Her story reminds us that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable obstacles, one person can make a profound difference.
And her legacy challenges us to continue the work she began, to fight for justice, to embrace our shared humanity, and to never give up hope for a better future.
If you're inspired to learn more about this remarkable woman, we highly recommend checking out her autobiography, Mary McLeod Bethune, Building a Better World. You can also explore the National Park Service website for the Mary McLeod Bethune Council House and the Bethune-Cookman University website.
We hope you've enjoyed this deep dive into the life and legacy of Mary McLeod Bethune. Her story is a testament to the enduring power of the human spirit and a call to action for all of us to create a world worthy of her vision.
We encourage you to share your thoughts on her story, what inspires you most, and what lessons we can apply to our own lives today. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, please subscribe to our podcast and share it with your friends. There are countless stories of remarkable individuals waiting to be uncovered, and we can't wait to share them with you.